From the steam that powered our ships to nuclear fusion today, our search has always been illuminated by the dream of energy, plentiful and cheap, enough to make us healthy and prosperous. That, in fact, we believe to be the very purpose of nature. In today's energy-intensive world, we tap the power of nature in many ways. Most of our methods, such as the burning of fossil fuels, waste much of what is taken and replace it with gases, which heat the planet and poison our air. Other methods draw their power directly from natural currents, such as water, air, or sunlight, and leave the source relatively unchanged. However, replacing the fossil fuels and billions of wasteful, polluting internal combustion engines with hydrogen fuel cells, or perhaps something better, as in the technologies envisioned by researchers like Toby Gross or Hal Fox, could take something like a revolution. Nevertheless, the global need for clean, abundant, renewable energy right now is great and growing. The question is, where do we get it? The exciting answer from many of today's research pioneers is all around us. Not in the air or the water or the sunlight, but in the very fabric of space itself. The part that's there when everything else is not there. The so-called zero-point energy.
In this field today, the term zero-point energy is much in vogue. What has been found out over the last several decades, particularly in physics, is that the vacuum, the emptiness in front of you, when you remove the air from it and just look at the emptiness, is not really an emptiness at all. As a matter of fact, it's filled with enormous amounts of energy, but of a very peculiar nature.
When we talk about zero-point energy, we're recognizing a true energy source, very similar to recognizing that the sun exists and solar energy exists. It's an energy that's truly there in the fabric of space, and as an engineer, we're exploring, can it really be tapped as an energy source?
Dr. Morey B. King wrote Tapping the Zero-Point Energy, one of the first books to explain the existence of so-called space energy.
It is electromagnetic, electrical field energy that vibrates very rapidly. You could think of it as microscopic, very, very small lightning inherent to the fabric of space itself, going off all the time. It's constantly random jitter.
It is really in an open system, which is driving everything, and everything else is exchanging energy violently with it all the time, and it's trying to stay in equilibrium with it, but it's driving it all the time. So we found out that we lived in an incredible ocean of energy.
Look at the ripples moving across the surface of the water, and imagine that all of our present harnessing of the forces of nature is merely the tapping of those ripples. Unmindful as we move along that we are floating on the surface of a powerful river into whose motion we have not yet dipped our paddle wheels. That is the dream that motivates a host of new energy inventors.
The key of C is interesting, as are all keys. The fundamental of each key is the oneness from which all the notes of that key are derived. So one without the other cannot exist. The positive side of a vibration can't exist without the negative side. They are one in that essence. So the oneness of it contains the essence of both. And that's the 0 point. That's what Schallberger started working on. That's what Tesla developed. That's what these guys around here talking about scalar technology, the 0 point technology. Keeley called it the full harmonic chord.
One of the earliest pioneers of free energy was 19th century inventor John Worrell Keely. Today, inventor Dale Pons is working to uncover Keely's secrets.
John was a unique individual. Very few people ever occur in history like this man. He was born either 1827 or 1837. His life is basically a big mystery. We know certain things about what he did as a youth. He was into music, he was a carpenter, he did painting, various different things. he stumbled on some kind of aspect of water physics, and I believe that was water hammer, which was just becoming to be known in the 1880s. He developed a motor which became the famous Keeley motor in Philadelphia, which operated on the basis of water hammer and vibration. It's this thing about water hammer that's so unique and interesting, has led to phenomenal insights into a process called implosion, which is cavitation. And in an effort to release that, all of a sudden we're talking about subquantum physics, Dirac, meson fields, and all kinds of stuff. And here was a man dealing in subatomic quantum physics before there was an atomic physics. Over a period of years, as I learned about the water hammer thing, and I learned about the physics of cavitation and the water hammers and the vibration, I began to realize that if we were going to find and reinterpret and redevelop what Keeley did, we would have to work with the Dynasphere, because it was the machine through which we could learn the most, and it was his takeoff point, you might say, from which he developed many other technologies and machines and inventions and devices.
A century after Keeley's saga, his legacy and that of other new energy pioneers lives on in the work of many unorthodox and still unsung inventors. A few of the most promising, though, could be nearing the kind of mainstream acceptance which most of their predecessors only dreamed of. The late Floyd Sparky Sweet is credited with creating a breakthrough magnetic solid-state motor. A magnetic specialist with a distinguished industrial career, Sweet was a man whose technical claims could not be easily dismissed. Many credible witnesses saw his device work, and Toby Groats was able to photograph these demonstrations.
This is Floyd Sweet's vacuum triode amplifier, powering two 100-watt incandescent lamps and a small DC motor. The term vacuum triode amplifier, or VTA, is a word that was coined by Tom Bearden in order to explain the phenomenon of how energy from the zero-point energy state was coupled into Floyd Sweet's over unity free energy device. The hardware configured in this photograph was set up and run, producing in excess of over 2 million to 1 power gain. It's definitely one of the outstanding examples of how zero-point energy over unity devices can be made to actually function and work.
Canadian inventor John Hutchison has built a device which employs crystalline materials and electrical resonance to produce sustained electrical currents without batteries or any other input. He calls it a space energy converter.
This one here is basically a portable unit I'll be taking to Japan, and it puts out approximately 6 volts, 2 to 6 volts. And the main tuning crystal section is up here. I'm adjusting this slowly. We get an overload. OL is overload. Another overload, 6.51 volts, 6.2. I have now adjusted this so it has some working energy.
I've traveled all over the world investigating free energy systems, inventors of free energy systems. I've seen many, many attempts to put free energy systems together. In my opinion, the space-powered generator being designed and built in India by Paramahamsa Tiwari is one of the premier systems of today.